Hi and welcome to the video today where I'm going to show you how to make a coat without a pattern. And as you can see here, it's like a teddy bear coat. It has pockets in the front, it has a zipper down the front as well, and it's a bit oversized and yeah, quite comfy, quite cozy, and with lining as well. I don't have a pattern for this. I simply just have another coat that I'm going to use on top of it and then change it a little bit. So I'm taking two pieces and folding them up down the middle, taking the coat that I want to measure from, taking that one piece that's folded up and turning it into two narrow pieces. That's for the front. And then I'm just simply placing this little coat jacket that I'm going to measure from and using a marker. I'm not marking at the bottom because I want to make this version longer, but marking at the front opening, down the shoulder, and then also around the arm openings, and you have to then look inside to actually see where the seam is. So you have to fold the coat up a little bit. Then I'm not making it any shorter because I don't want it short. I want it like the length of the fabric that I have. And then just cutting. And when I'm drawing around it, I also make sure to add like 1.5 centimeters of seam allowance approximately. As you can also see, I don't cut quite close to the edge. And then I have a zipper, and that goes all the way down the front. For the other piece of folded fabric, I'm not cutting it open because that's going to be used for the back, so that needs to be in one piece. And again, I'm marking around the neck opening on the back, marking where the arm, like the arm seam, I guess it's called the arm seam is. Again, with some seam allowance, so I don't mark and cut right close to the fabric of the coat. For the sleeves, I need 2 pieces of fabric folded, so I have 4 layers in total here to cut through and 2 folds, giving it again some seam allowance up towards the sleeve, and again marking around where I can see the seam is on the coat. Cutting, cutting, cutting. This is quite hard to cut through because it's thick fabric, so yeah, just have to be careful and making that sleeve edge there nice and curved. And that's it. I've got those pieces for the coat. Only thing I've got left to do is to make a little hood, because this coat that I'm going to copy has a hood. So I'm marking again around like a couple of centimeters seam allowance and just folding the hood down so I can see where the seam is, and then mark a little bit below that. Cutting that. That was quite easy. 1, 2, 3. Suddenly we had those pieces cut for the front of the coat. And now I simply cut exactly the same pieces in some lining material. And I didn't have enough of the same color, so we've got some different types of lining here. But that's it. And yeah, just stitch the hood together there. And I'm going to stitch the hood together as well of the lining fabric. You can just see here, I'm just stitching like approximately with 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way down. That's it. Yes. And then it's about stitching the coat pieces together, the outside coat pieces. So first the 2 shoulder seams, so fabric facing towards the front of each other, so you can see that's where one arm opening will be, where it's been stitched together in the shoulders. And then just putting on that sleeve. And because I've just measured from a coat, it might not be perfect, you know. I might reach one of the edges, and it might be a little bit shorter or longer than the one it's lining up against, but I'm not too worried. That's just how I work, and it saves me a lot of time, and it ends up being quite good. So it's fine for me. But if you can't really deal with that, then of course it's the hard way to do it. But this is just fun and easy, and yeah, well, it kind of fits there, so not a problem. Then the sleeves are stitched together, not stitched together, the sleeves are stitched on, and now I'm going to stitch the sleeves together. So yes, taking it from the sleeve opening, aligning the pieces there, and then stitching all the way under the arm in towards the armhole, under the arm there, and then going down the sides of the coat, nice and easy all the way down. That was one side of the coat. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, aligning the pieces of fabric, starting at the sleeve opening and stitching all the way down the sides. Making sure the seams here are aligned, and be careful when you sew through the kind of thick fabric, because it's it's some thick layers, and when you reach those seams and stitch on top of those, it's actually quite a lot of layers that you have to stitch through. Yes, opening it up. Yes, how does it look? And now you can try it on, of course, to see how it fits. It's time to put the hood on. That's already been stitched together, so just try to see how that fits. Align the edges of the hood with the opening of the coat. And I don't know what happened to the camera here, because you can hardly see what I'm doing. I'm sorry about that, but I'm actually stitching the coat on to the hood, doing it at both sides and then just in the middle, so I can see where I am. Yes, this is brilliant camera work. Really, really interesting to watch. Yes, I'm aligning it here so it fits. So the hood, bottom of the hood is facing up against the neck opening. You can't see me stitching, but you can just see the fabric going through the machine. Well done. Yes, but now you can see how it's been stitched together. Yes, or you could for half a second. I'm going to add pockets, so I'm just going to fold one of the opening of the pockets down, stitch it on towards the back, and do the same with the other one. Just fold it down like that, and then stitching it in place. Then I'm going to make sure that the pockets are where I want them. Yes, approximately there. That looks well. I have like measured where I want them, just tried them on to my model to make sure that they fit. So with the length of her arms, and then aligning on the other side, so I make sure that the pockets are placed approximately in the same distance from the side, at the same height, and so on. Just putting some needles in to make sure they are where they want to be. And now I need to fold in that fabric as I stitch it on, because I don't want the raw edges of this teddy fabric on. So I'm just folding it in, starting in one side, going almost all the way down, and then making sure that I can fold that under as well, and then folding the bottom up as well, like approximately 1 centimeter, and stitching that, being quite careful. Now it has to go on straight, the fabric can't like move too much. Folding the last edge. I only need the 3 sides because I need to keep one side open, of course, to put the hands into the pockets, and securing it in place. And then you just do exactly the same thing for the other pocket, and just taking out the needles there. Nice, the hand fits. Yes, both pockets are stitched on now, and that means it's time for the zipper. So the zipper, make sure you get a zipper that can open. Yes, and make sure you place it correctly on the right side. I just stitched it on front of the zipper towards front of the fabric, all the way down, making sure that it fits. So I still have a little bit of space, a little bit of fabric beneath the bottom of the zipper. And then I'm going to open it up, making sure that I turn the zipper the right way for the other side of the coat opening. And sometimes that just takes a little bit of thinking. I need to make sure, oh, how is it turning? Oh, is it facing that way? Is it, oh, what's it doing? And yeah, better safe than sorry. So that's why I'm just messing with it a little bit. And also be sure that you have the zipper bottom at the same place on both sides of the fabric, so you won't have a coat that's not even when you put it on. I have done that enough, basically. Again, stitching it all the way up to the top, and some of this fabric can also stretch a bit, so you might end up with a different zipper placing at the top than on the other side, even though you start at the same place at the bottom, just because the fabric will stretch. So it can be a good idea to sometimes put in some needles, make sure that it's positioned right both at the bottom and the top opening. Luckily this looks nice, and then it's just the lining, and magically I just stitched that together without you watching, and it's stitched together just like the coat is, apart from an opening in the sleeve, and I need that to turn the jacket through, or turn the coat through. So starting with the hood, making sure that the hood is stitched on first, or the lining of the hood is stitched onto the proper hood of the coat, going down towards where the zipper is, and then stitching towards that point. Then I'm doing the other side of the hood, just starting at the hood seam on both the lining and the coat to make sure they're perfectly aligned. And then down here, that's the first bit of the lining and the coat stitched together. That was the hood on. Now I've got to stitch the lining onto the rest of the coat, and I'm going to do it first on the one side of the opening where the zipper is, making sure that the zipper is in the middle, and then there is a layer of lining facing in towards a layer of fabric, and they have to face front to front. And I stitched on top of the seam where I've already stitched the zipper onto. Well, I'm trying to go as close to it as I possibly can. Yes, going all the way down towards the end. So now we have an opening at the bottom, and the zipper is just poking out here. You've got lining on one side and front of fabric on the other side. Then it's about finding the other zipper opening on the other side, and again the lining facing in towards the front of the fabric. And I'm just going to stitch it down on the bottom first to make sure that they are nicely aligned at the bottom. Yes, and again I'm sewing on top of the stitch that I just did to stitch the lining onto the front of the fabric, or to stitch the zipper onto the front of the fabric, because then, yeah, then I'm sure that there's not too many visible seams. So on top of that, and then I reach the top where the hood starts, and just giving it a little bit of an extra stitch there. Now it's only opening at the bottom and then in that sleeve, and of course also the sleeve openings. But remember that there was that sleeve part of the lining that I didn't stitch completely. I'm just going to cut some of this off because I hadn't cut it quite properly right there. So yes, now I'm ready to stitch the opening at the bottom to close that up. And I'm just going to go in right below where the zipper is and just closing it here, stitching the lining front to front onto the outside part of the coat, the front part of the coat. And then I'm going to use that opening in the sleeve to turn it all the way around to the front, which means that I have to be sure that it needs to be quite a big opening. So if the fabric was really, really light and very easy to squeeze through, perhaps I could just do it through the sleeve opening. This is way too bulky. So I'm finding this opening that I made, and then I'm just pushing it through, trying to be careful, but I can still feel that I'm ripping some of this satin lining. But yeah, try to be gentle. Doesn't really look like I'm very good at it. Pushing it through, and now again we get all those threads, all those edges just hidden inside the coat. Nobody can see them, so it doesn't matter that it doesn't look that great in there. The corners, just making sure that everything is pushed through. So much thread is stuck to this teddy bear fabric. I'll take that off later. Now you can see it's done. Yes, just testing out if the zipper works. It does quite well, and the hood looks nice apart from all the loose fabric. So we have the opening of the sleeves now. I'm just going to show you what to do. You can see that I'm facing the fabric in towards each other, and then I have to find the opening of the sleeve and then pull it through there, because that has to be stitched from the inside. Now the sleeve lining and the normal sleeve are lying facing each other. Two seams are allowed. The fabric is front to front, and then I'm stitching them together like this. I've just made the sleeve lining a tiny bit shorter than the normal sleeves, because then I will have a little bit of the sleeve fabric also going into the sleeve, so the edge where the lining and the normal fabric meet won't be exactly in the middle. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. So, and then stitching it up. So yes, the same for the other side. I'm not showing that here. And then I'm just finding my hole and just folding in the fabric and then stitching it close. I don't worry that much about this not being the prettiest way to secure it. What I'm interested in is securing the raw edges so that they are inside of the closure, so they don't get out. But I know this part will be inside my sleeve and nobody will ever see it, so it doesn't bother me that much that it's not perfect. And the zipper is, it's looking nice, but I'm actually just going to stitch it through one more time all the way around, going up along where the zipper is, and then all the way up actually also where the hood, where the fabric meets the lining, just to kind of keep it in place to make sure that the zipper is easier to zip for my little girl who's going to wear it, that the fabric doesn't kind of roll over it on top of it. So I'm just folding the fabric off to the sides and stitching it in place, going all the way along, and also on the other side. So holding it well in place. You have to be kind of careful doing this. Make sure that you pull the fabric gently away from the zipper, and then stitching it all the way down. So cool. And I'm just going to do the hood as well, just so it's so the inside of the hood, like the lining of the hood, doesn't pop out that much. This makes it a little bit more organized, secure, and I'm sure where it is. And it also looks nice with the seam that you can just see in the teddy bear fabric. And it's done. And there she is. So nice and cozy, and cute little blue soft teddy bear. Yeah, and she really likes it, and it's a nice and easy way to make pockets as well, so I can totally recommend that, and the fabric is very nice to work with. Thanks for watching.